Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Utility, Safety, and Environment Committee meeting for Wednesday, August 6, 2025. This is nice. We normally don't have a crowd for the utilities meeting, so thank you all for coming this evening. Law Director Deary will speak on agenda item number 1, on agenda item number 2, and then I will allow a representative to speak from each side, each view, we'll say, for 2 minutes, okay? So we're going to get started. The first item on the agenda is the matter of approving meeting minutes from Utility, Safety, and Environment Committee meeting of July 9th, 2025, as circulated. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. The next item on the agenda is the matter of reviewing and/or amending Elyria Codified Ordinance 311.06 titled Games in the Streets. Law Director Deary.
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. This matter was referred by Councilman Kenny Oswald from Ward 4, and also Jason and Jessica Bendick. Just a bit of a background. From a legal standpoint, based upon conversations that I and my office have had with Elyria Police Department, legally, we are not in opposition to repealing or amending this ordinance. I would recommend to the Utilities Committee that something needs to be done with the language of this ordinance because, quite frankly, it cannot, it's not productive or usable as is. This ordinance was passed nearly 80 years ago, back in 1945. It pertains to any person. It does not specifically address the age of the actor. It discusses that games in the street may be permitted if the street has been, quote, set aside for playground purposes. There is no such procedure to set streets aside for playground purposes anymore in our code. Furthermore, the penalty for a violation of 311.06 defaults to standard traffic violation penalties. This in itself is problematic because if the defendant is under the age of having a driver's license, then this penalty is not going to apply anyways. In the conversations I've had with relevant city personnel, it has become abundantly clear to me that if the Utilities Committee and ultimately City Council would decide to do away with this provision of the Elyria Codified Ordinances altogether, there are many other city codes and state laws in effect that would be able to adequately address various problems that could arise from juveniles and or adults who are socializing and or playing organized or other games in our roadways, to wit, juveniles could be certified over to juvenile court as unruly. There are laws on the books for impeding the flow of traffic, and of course, should there be any sort of property damage, say from a wayward athletic ball hitting someone's vehicle or something, obviously there's laws on the books for those sorts of things. That being said, I would turn this back over to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Law Director Deary. Are there any questions for the Law Director? No? Mr. Oswald?
Madam Chair, would you let me give a little overview of what's going on, or not at this time?
Go right ahead.
Thank you. The problem arose, we thought we had it squared away. And when Mr. Bendick approached me with this idea of getting rid of this ordinance, of course, the first thing I said is, wow, this could take care of our problems. until then I started doing some research and started getting other people's view on the street. Now, mind you, we've never in 50 years, I'm told, ever had an issue like this. This has escalated from some neighbors to make it get to this point, but we've never had this problem, okay? And the people that I talk to, young, old, the ones that have kids, yes, they love having the kids there, but the ones that don't have kids don't think that cul-de-sac should be a playground for their area. And so they feel their rights are being taken advantage of at this point, which I guess I understand that. If it was down to a few kids, this would have never gotten to this point, okay? But it has escalated to the point where now we throw our hands up, what's the best view? So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Oswald. Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I will allow the audience to speak. I'm going to ask that you all have a representative and that you keep your comments to 2 minutes. Yeah, okay. May I have a proponent, please? A proponent, someone who's in favor of repealing this. Okay. The mic. Good evening. I would ask that you please state your name and address for the record.
Testing, we good? Okay. Jason Bendick, residential owner of 126 Briar Lake Drive, obviously, great city of Elyria. Thank you guys, council members, city of Elyria, just in general, thank you for residents for being here. Obviously, as you guys, I'm a resident owner of 126. I'm here today respectfully asking that council repeal, or at minimum, to the law director's point, amend the codified ordinance 311.06. As you guys know, it's currently being applied to prohibit children from playing in our neighborhood cul-de-sac. I'm not going to repeat the ordinance. She already said that it's over 80 years old in 1945. It's obviously a different time. And while perhaps it was well-intended initially, we all know that it's now outdated. It's punitive use of traffic control, and it's overly broad. When applied to modern residential designs like cul-de-sac, it criminalizes safe and supervised play in the very spaces that were intentionally designed to support safe, secure, and low traffic and community interaction. So why does this issue matter? This was brought to the forefront not because of safety complaints or community disruption, but due to an unfortunate personal grievance by a neighbor who cited this ordinance, and to Kenny's point, the first time in 50 years. The first time in 50 years, he said that. By a means of stopping my children and others in the community of playing our cul-de-sac. Since then, we have been subjected to repeated threats of police involvement, videotaping of my children, harassment, name-calling, and the spread of misinformation, all rooted in a rigid and misapplied interpretation of the ordinance. One child who's actually present in this room right now has become afraid to visit my home due to the behavior of these neighbors. This situation has caused an undue stress and toxicity in the neighborhood that should be a safe and welcoming place for families. Now, I explain all of this not to stir conflict, but rather to bring to you the light of the urgency of this situation and give a perspective of how we arrived at this point.
Mr. Bender?
Yes.
Your 2 minutes are up.
Okay.
Are you almost done?
Yes, I am.
I will allow you
Okay,
to finish.
thank you.
Thank you.
So, I'm fairly confident that you may hear other perspectives, which will include things like there are too many kids, the need for privacy, quiet time, protection of vehicles, or the poor Christian principal is teaching his kids to be criminals. You'll hear things like that. But please know that regardless of what has been said, our Briar Lake community will remain steadfast to the reasons which we're here today, to advocate for the full repeal of Ordinance 311.06. I want to thank you guys for your time, the attention and continued service for what you do for our city. With that outlined, I've given you guys specific details of my plan to repeal the ordinance. There's 6 points in there as well. And the one that I will just repeat is if this would to be enacted and cited towards my children, they would have to do the same thing for the 151 cul-de-sacs that are throughout the city. we will spend our time and resources much better utilized with our officers, not coming at children who are playing in the street. Completely respect the neighbor's wishes, but at the same time, there's also children at play which make up the families in our community, which is thriving over at Briar Lake. I thank you for your time. I look forward to any other questions. I would be honored to come to any other subcommittee hearings if you have those, and I would also help even give my opinion on the drafting of legislation if necessary.
Thank you, sir.
Yep.
Are there any opponents? Please. Sir, please state your name and address for the record.
I am James Montgomery. I live at 115 Briar Lake Drive in Elyria. Thank you. I have served as a public school person for 47 years. As principal at Normandy School in Bay Village, as superintendent of schools in Wellington, Ohio, and superintendent in Upper Sandusky, Ohio. On the matter before you tonight, there are two matters I would like to address. First is safety. With 12 or more children at times playing in the streets, even after dark, it is not safe. They're running in the street, they're riding bicycles around in the area, they're running, they're playing ball. The second matter is one that is disruptive. The children are sometimes loud, as children will be, and they are disruptive to me and others in the neighborhood. Also, the city of Elyria has a number of very fine parks that are available to the children and the adults. And that's it.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. I want to reiterate again that this committee is here tonight for the purpose of discussion of this ordinance. Unfortunately, what you all have going on, you got to figure out a way to make it work. And it's unfortunate because you're neighbors, and you should be able to figure out a way to get along. And kids will be kids, and they deserve to play, but not at the right of disturbing their neighbors. Be respectful. So, having said all of that, I'll read the committee report if we have. Oh, is there any further discussion, Ms. Davis?
Through you,
Go ahead.
through you, Chair, I heard mention that how many other cul-de-sacs is in the area, and of course, I have one in my neighborhood. And in my cul-de-sac, there are 7 houses in the area. So who can tell me how many houses is in this cul-de-sac on Briar Lake? 6.
Double cul-de-sac.
My fault that I didn't go look.
Director Pianowski, did you want to weigh
I
in?
was just going to help maybe explain through you. It's kind of the shape of a peanut. If you
Yes.
think about 2 cul-de-sacs with the road coming up the middle.
Okay.
If that helps, it's kind of visualize.
Or up.
Mrs. Davis, did you have any other comments?
Oh, I'm finished. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. And Mr. Armstrong?
I'm going to agree with the law director about this also. I also spoke to Captain Grooms about this, and he informed me that he did not have any issues with allowing playment in the cul-de-sacs. But there are going to be a lot of different things that we also need to take into consideration that we don't have tonight, like how many cars per se are going down there, or the family, the Brown family and the Decker family, how they feel about that. From what I heard, they are okay with that. But again, to echo off of Mrs. Mitchell's comment, this is a personal issue that has been going on for too long. And it's sad. It's very sad. Some of the things that I have seen, I never thought I would see from videos, that things are being done to kids. And as everybody knows, kids are my soft spot. And I get it. If you're gonna have a number of kids there, it's gonna be a little loud. But in my opinion, I would rather it be a little loud than them being quiet and suspect. So this is a very, very hard one to try to decide on a soon basis, because just the fact that if we did, there's a whole bunch of liability issues that we have to also consider. So after meeting both parties and speaking, sir, it's up.
John Tara, 122 Briar Lake Drive, one of the main proponents of changing the ordinance. I agree with each and every one of you, you know. I personally felt bad enough when the City Safety Service Director, Jay, came out. We sat on my porch. We probably talked for a good half hour. And I said, Jay, how do you feel about this? I said, am I being out of line with my expectations? You know, I've put in my time now. I'm retired. I like a little bit of peace and quiet and to enjoy my property here, you know, and I've got a whole frickin' cul-de-sac filled, you know. So we continued our conversation. I said, Jay, I said, what about if we give it one more chance? Jay's reply was, are you sure I can have that basketball hoop taken out of here right now? Done deal, over, okay? And I said, I would rather not. I would rather give them another shot and try to make this work. Okay? This was the only thing I asked for. I was concerned about our vehicles in the street and in our driveway. I said, do me a favor, allow them to know that when we're parked there, we're not going to be expected for somebody to be knocking on our door, asking us to move our car so they can play. It means that's our time, okay? It could mean I'm no different than Jim. I like to go out in the garage and have a beer and read a book or listen to some music, you know? I like a little bit of that solitude after working all my life, you know? Anyway, so Jay said, well, that doesn't sound too far out of line, John. I think they won't have a problem with this, okay? I said, the other thing is the numbers, okay? You know, when I originally talked to Jason and expected that there to be kids out, for crying out loud, man, there's 3 or 4 kids out shooting hoops everywhere, you know? That's an expectation, you know? If one guy's shooting, you're gonna have a couple buddies over and shooting. I didn't expect it to go from the 12-year-olds to the 13s and, you know what, to 3 or 4 hours nonstop with 5 or 6 basketballs all over the place, okay? My only point in saying this is that we've tried, we do care, we did want it to work, and I thought it was a done deal, okay? I thought when Jay left my house, he was gonna go and correspond back with Jason, and we'd have peace, it would all be good, you know, law and order, okay? Speaking of law and order, a representative of a principal of a Christian school for the last year has decided to override the laws for his own family, okay, and thought that that was more than okay. But that's another topic, I suppose, okay? But why, when you say, why would I get upset? I expected higher of Jason. I really did. I was happy to see him move in. I thought, man, we're getting a principal here. Man, we ought to have a pretty good guy in town, you know? I didn't expect him to break every rule and law in the book, on there. His reply is, well, they're not out robbing banks, right? Well, you know what? These are laws. If you're going to break laws, you're breaking laws. So do I get to pick and choose? No. If I want to go outside and drink in the middle of the cul-de-sac, is it okay for me to do that? Come on.
Okay.
Well, okay, enough's enough, but we tried. We really tried,
Law Director Deary.
Through you, Madam Chair. To be clear, this is an antiquated law. It has no teeth. There is no adequate, reasonable penalty to this law as it stands now. So I would implore the committee to come up with something, regardless of what that something is, because right now, as I said, there are words on the page, and there is no penalty that is adequate. Furthermore, the very words of this ordinance, and I am empathetic to what everyone has said, but 311.06 does not address bike riding in the street, and it also does not address noise. However, we have other laws on the books, both state laws and city ordinances, that do address those matters. And we also have laws on the books, again, that address impeding the flow of traffic, pedestrians in the street. There are other issues, and again, I'm not minimizing the seriousness of them, but 311.06 specifically addresses games in the street, games of ball, flying a kite, specifically talks about games. Game as a term has a legal definition. So if there are kids or people of any age just gathering in the cul-de-sac and are noisy, arguably, this ordinance as it stands right now would not apply. And I'm not saying that's not frustrating, but that's exactly the point I'm trying to drive home, that this law does not work, which is why I would recommend that it, at the very least, be substantially amended, or it would be repealed. And the answer is not that the new wording would be that people within the city of Elyria have carte blanche to play in the street and that everybody should immediately go out and play in the street. No, it's that this is unworkable, it doesn't have teeth, we have other laws on the books that address the concerns. With that, I will obviously defer to the chair and then the rest of the committee.
Mr. Oswald.
Through you, Madam Chair. And Mr. Armstrong, we have 151 cul-de-sacs, and we're looking at one cul-de-sac here. We have to realize that if we're getting real appealing this, we're thinking about all these. And like I said before, we've never had an issue really with any of them. So that was the point I was making, okay? So basically, we don't have an issue except this problem escalated. We had a problem that it just, so I think we should figure out what we are going to do as far as making a motion.
Okay, so what is the committee, Mr. Stewart?
I just had a question in regards before I move forward with that. So the gentleman, Mr. Tar, had mentioned something about that Assistant Safety Service Director Lesh had, was going to go back to the proponents of who wanted to have the cul-de-sac. I don't know if the Safety Service Director can, of those findings and what those findings were, back to the proponents who are wanting to that. And then if they, I'm just trying to, that was a comment that was made, I'm just trying to address it.
Sure. Through you, Madam Chair, I think what he was trying to do and what we were trying to do is mediate the situation, quite frankly, and seeing if we could help maybe with a communication breakdown or what have you, to be the middle person. And I don't believe that, I believe that conversation took part some time ago before this referral was made. And it appears to, it was unsuccessful, but that was the attempt to try and mediate some type of, resolution between the neighbors that seemed to be most concerned about the topic.
Thank you. Mr. Armstrong?
Through you, Madam Chair. Mr. Stewart, when I spoke to Assistant Safety Service Director Les, he informed me that the basketball hoop at that time was in the street, further away from the Tara's house. So he thought that coming to a resolution by putting it at the edge of their driveway would have squashed this. Unfortunately, a lot of aggression has set in at that time, and it has gone very, very far, which is, again, sad. So now, as I said, the basketball hoop is on their property, closer to the home. Of course, you're gonna have, kids being kids. But again, we do need to do something about this, because there are 151 cul-de-sacs that we have to look at, and also dead ends. If we're gonna be looking at that, because there are dead end streets too that need to be addressed also with this. So, I mean, in my opinion, we need more time and more information on this to try to even come up with any type of recommendation.
Okay. I think the thing to remember is that we're not just dealing with cul-de-sacs and dead ends, we're talking about streets. And the reason this ordinance came up is because of all of this, but it's 45 years old. Oh, excuse me, it's 80, it's older than me. It's 80 years old. So it's antiquated, it doesn't do anything. The issues that you all have, unfortunately, are your issues. The city can't do anything about what you're going through, and I'm so sorry that you all are going through this. But you need to figure out a way to make it work for everybody that lives there. One person does not have the right to disturb the peace of everybody in the neighborhood. Absolutely not. So what I would implore you all to do is to sit down, work together, and try to figure out a compromise. Because you know what? This ain't that serious. It is not that serious. There are people, never mind, I won't go there, but it's not that, no, we're done with it. Thank you. I said I would allow one from each side. Excuse me, you are out of order, sir. This is my committee. So having said that, we are here for the purpose of discussing the 80-year-old ordinance. I'm so sorry you guys are going through this, but you all got to figure it out. Like Law Director Deary said, there are laws on the books. There's a noise ordinance, you call the police, you all figure it out. So, having said that, to my committee, what is your pleasure? Do we want to appeal it? Do we want to amend it? Repeal it, sorry. Do we want to repeal it or amend it? Mrs. Davis?
Through you, Madam Chair. So we do need more time to discuss it, like Councilman Armstrong said, and we do need to repeal this and make it, bring it up to date. So we need to, are we going to amend it, appeal the whole thing?
I think we should repeal it, but Law Director Deary?
Through you, Madam Chair. If the decision is to repeal, then that would be to remove this from our ordinances. And there is that, if it's repealed, then you're not revising the language.
Having said
If
that.
you want to revise the language, then it is going to be a complete overhaul. You're going to be looking at what the penalties will be, et cetera, et cetera.
And to reiterate, we already have laws on the book to address this. So it would be my recommendation that we repeal it.
Madam Chair, I'll make the motion to repeal ordinance 311.06, games of the street.
Can I get a second? It was moved by Mr. I'm sorry, let me read the committee report. So we have considered the matter of addressing Elyria Codified Ordinance 311.06, games in the street, And this is legislation authorizing an ordinance to repeal the said codified ordinance. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Stewart, second by Mr. Armstrong. Is there any other discussion?
Question.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. So I thank you all for your time. I thank you for taking the time to come out and to address this committee. But again, I would implore you to work together to try to figure out a solution. Unfortunately, it's the adults. It's the adults. Kids will be kids. These kids are not out fighting, they're not robbing, they're not hurting anything, they're playing. It's the adults. So you all figure it out. Thank you. We're going to move on. The next agenda item is the matter of advertising. Oh, I'm sorry. The next agenda item is the matter of advertising and awarding a contract for the WWPC Activated Sludge Aeration Tank Improvement Project mandated by the wet weather consent decree. Mr. Snyder.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. As you just read, we are here to ask permission from council to go out for bid for the activated sludge aeration tank improvement project. This is a project that is required by our consent decree, and it will increase the capacity of the wastewater treatment plant from 32 MGD to a 40 MGD, which is required. It involves a lot of piping, a lot of process type of equipment in order to complete this work. The plan is to apply for Ohio EPA DEF loan, so we would go out for a loan for this. It is not in our budget as of right now, so another reason why we were going to go out for a loan for this, and we'll need to adjust our budget. And now the bad news, it's $10.8 million. It's a large project, but it is required as part of our, like I said, our consent decree, and it's going to help the environment by not discharging polluted water right to the river, so. No, we're currently, the project is at the EPA for a PTI right now, so we have time.
Are there any comments or questions for Engineer Snyder? Seeing none, I'll read the committee report. We have considered the matter of a sludge aeration tank improvement project for the WWPC plant, and this is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids and enter into a contract for said project. This project is part of the mandated wet weather consent decree. Can I get a motion, please?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Armstrong, second by Mr. Stewart. Any other discussion?
Question.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carried. The next item on the agenda is the matter of a cooperation agreement with Elyria Township to apply for Ohio Public Works Commission, OPWC, funding for Murray Ridge resurfacing, reconstruction project from Albrecht Road to Lowell Street. This makes me happy. Engineer Snyder.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. So, as you know, the project, it's the resurfacing from Albrecht Road to Lowell Street on Murray Ridge Road. We have funding in place from NOACA. I believe it's $1 million. Well, actually, it's right here. Just over $1 million. It doesn't cover all the construction costs and the engineering costs as far as construction engineering costs. We did receive an email from the Elyria Township requesting that we partner with them because it does carry over into the township as well. And we agree it's a great partnership project. We've done them in the past. West Ridge Road, which was just paved this past year, we had an agreement. It was a flip agreement where the county actually had the agreement. We partnered with them. This time it will be us developing the agreement and they'll partner with us, but because we are the prime for the project. So at this point, we're looking to apply for all the local shares, so it'd be all the construction dollars as well as the engineering, construction, administration dollars for the project. So it would, essentially, the project would cost us a dime is the plan, if everything goes right. So, but with that, if you have any questions.
Does this need to be an emergency?
Actually, this does need to be an emergency, yes, thank you.
Are there, Mrs. Davis?
Through you, Madam Chair. So is this project for like late 2026 or early 2027? Because you have to,
So
do they work?
with Ohio Public Works project money, it doesn't get released until July of the following year. So it would be after July 1st. The plan would be to bid it as close, we can actually bid it before then if we get approval from, we just can't award it until after then, based on the funding resources. Typically, NOACA's funding will allow you to award it earlier, but Ohio Public Works, we don't get the contract until July 1st. So it will be after July 1st.
Are there any other questions? And I know you guys are so tired of hearing me complain about Murray Ridge, so I am extremely happy. It won't happen the next year. It can't happen soon enough, so thank you. Seeing no other questions or comments, I will read the committee report. We have considered the matter of a cooperation agreement with Elyria Township to apply for OPWC funding for the resurfacing project of Murray Ridge Road from Albrecht Road to Lowell Street. And this is an ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into said agreement with Elyria Township to share in the cost of resurfacing of Murray Ridge Road from Albrecht Road to Lowell Street. Can I get a motion, please?
So move.
Second.
Moved by Mrs. Davis, second by Mr. Oswald. Any other questions?
Question.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Engineer Schneider.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is the matter of updating Chapter 939 of Elyria Codified Ordinances, Water Rules and Regulations of Elyria Municipal Water Supply System, EMWSS. Mrs. Connor.
Thank you, Thank you, Madam Chair. Through you, we worked diligently to get this all put together. A lot of it was housekeeping, changing some words, changing some terms. I don't know if the Safety Service Director wants to share. We started out primarily with the big issues of finance charges and tampering. So did everybody get a chance to read through everything?
I did. Did you all receive this? Okay. Director Pianowski, did you want to add anything?
Certainly, thank you, through you. The changes are highlighted in red, at least in my copy it is, so that'll help keep track. Some of it, naturally, over the course of time, ordinances, they get updated, they get brought current. Sometimes we have an operational challenge that comes up and we're like, hey, let's fix the language here to address that. So that's a lot of what you're seeing. We've changed in practices over time, that kind of stuff, so updating the language to incorporate those. The two topics that we've talked about with council previously that were under consideration was a credit card charge, a service fee, if you will, should somebody pay their bill with a credit or debit card. We looked into that and we decided not to include that in these revisions. Those charges were factored into our rates, at least through 2027. And it also gets pretty complicated and quite expensive if we shift it over to the residents in a way that I thought was unnecessary. So I think I circulated an email from Brian Rothgary kind of illustrating some of those rates if we were to shift it over to the residents. So we left that out. We did include, however, what we are calling a delinquency fee. 30 days late triggers a delinquency fee. Currently, we have it set at 5% of the delinquency. Other communities, we think the norm is sometimes up to 10%, so that was kind of the area we were looking at. In my mind, I kept thinking, if you have a $100 bill, $5 kind of penalty, I've left it on the counter and set something on top of it and forgot about it. So, it takes into consideration some element of fairness while also addressing the additional administrative costs for us to try and collect that amount again, so we thought that was fair. If you would like to increase that amount, I think there's some room to do so. But I have confirmed with Ms. Connor that the administrative cost for having to try a second time to collect that bill would be covered. Then we also have a habitual delinquency notice, so if you're is it 3 times, is that what we did?
3 times in a rolling 12-month period.
If you are delinquent 3 times in a rolling 12-month cycle, you'll receive a $250 habitual delinquency penalty. So some of the folks that we talk about that we have to certify to the auditor, and that would be certified with that to the auditor if it ends up in that point. But some of those commercial buildings, some of these apartment buildings, that type of stuff, whether that gets their attention or not, we thought that was, for the additional effort to attempt to collect multiple times on them, we thought that was reasonable, and that would be included in whatever was certified to the auditor should it get to that point. But that's what we've included in here as it relates to those 2 topics that we have previously discussed surrounding credit card fees and delinquency/late fees. The bulk of the rest of this is just cleaning up some language, a couple of titles changed, different stuff like that, operational changes that will be reflected in the changes of language. I don't recall anything drastic. But a lot of it's just changes in some of the procedures that we do
Yes.
to update that. And by and large, the other fees that are included in the fee ordinance, I think were left similar to what they were previously. So really, it's the introduction of this delinquency fee is probably the biggest change.
Okay, thank you.
That's the only thing, because the other fees, we really don't use those. I mean, so they're just the same.
Or the other part, I think, in discussing with Ms. Connor earlier, before the meeting, we felt they were still adequate for whatever the costs were associated with our efforts to do that service, whatever it is. So we left the bulk of those fees alone, if not all of them, so.
And we did add the tampering fee because we've had some occurrences, which to put a fee on that is very helpful.
Okay, thank you. I know the delinquency list that you all go over with finance every month or whatever, it's always the same names, the same companies, so maybe this will get their attention. Thank you. Are there any, Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Madam Chair, Ms. Connor. So we know one of our habituals a while back was High Point. So how many times do you think that they were delinquent? Because I know it's been on your radar for a while.
Yes, and actually, they're in good shape right now.
Right now, but from a year ago.
Oh, gosh. Well, we've had others, too. There's some that quarterly, I mean, we get them 4 times a year.
Yeah. So maybe it'll make a difference of, making them pay the bills.
Because we
So
get them
thanks-
every 3 months.
Thanks for the work.
Yes.
Mr. Stewart?
So we're not going to enact, or it's not being considered to enact the service fee for credit card. What is that cost that the city absorbs? What is that dollar amount every year? Do we know that?
Law Director Deary?
Through you, Madam Chair. So the city is actually not absorbing the cost because at the time that Black & Veatch did the rate study, they calculated that and considered the credit card fees when the
Monthly
user
s-
fee?
y-
Yes,
the
was
monthly
calculated.
Fixed cost.
Yes. So it's not, the
It's
city is
billed.
not eating that charge, essentially.
So it's going back to through you, Madam Chair, so it's going to the resident then, or how, where?
It is
where's
going
back
to the
rolled into
customer.
their-
Yes, it is rolled into the bill through, I believe, as the service director said, at least through 2027.
Yep.
Is that correct, 2027?
Yes, that
Yes,
is when
20,
our
yeah.
rates are set
Yes.
too.
Yes,
So at some point thereafter, we might have to look at it.
right.
But, we did explore shifting the costs, and I can resend the email that I forwarded from our IT director, Brian Rothgary, who did some calculations, because apparently he likes math, and I can reshare that after the meeting. Going from memory, it was significantly more just because of the way the cards, there's different cards, there's different rates, and it was significantly more if we shifted that to the residents, and I thought that it was enough that it was, not only is it in our rates, so we're good for now, but I don't know if that's something we want to explore in the future, because it's quite a bit more expensive, just with the same number of transactions. But I'll reshare that email so you can see those numbers again.
Thank you, Director. Law Director Deary?
And through you, and just to elaborate a little bit more, I mean, that rate study, the user fee did take into account everything from contemplating increases in postage, increases in printing costs, as well as, I mean, there is a cost when somebody pays by check, or the cost for Brinks to come and pick up the payments. I mean, all those types of things. And it all fluctuates again by account to account, but that is how the user fee was calculated.
Thank you. Mrs. Davis?
Through you, Madam Chair, to Ms. Connors. So also, in preparing, did you, for homestead, are you going to be able to be more up-to-date on those homestead charges versus people, you know, continuing on with their homestead and they're not the ones who really have it?
Yes, through you, Madam Chair. We've got that all cleaned up. The last of the letters went out. There were just 17 people that have not responded that we took the homestead off of them. So it has worked. I mean, it's going to be very compliant, and we've got the process in place that every April we'll be auditing and watching those. So we've picked up people that realize that it's available to them, so they've applied. So it's almost very close to how many came off, but others came on. So it's balanced out. It really cleaned up nice with the staff.
Thank you all for that work. Are there any other, Mrs. Davis?
Through you, Madam Chair. So you said every April, you will do a evaluation of those homestead
Yes.
members? All right,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Safety Service Director Panowski?
Thank you. And to just kind of elaborate a little bit, the reason why April was chosen is because that plays off of when the county auditor requires their records to be updated. So we should have the best indicator of people that are on homestead legitimately and so forth. So we looked at the calendar and said, let's do ours then, because they should be further, they should have the exemption at that point if they're going to. Okay, and then if somebody comes in and signs up for service and they do, buy a house and they do qualify for homestead, we'll still evaluate that when they come in to sign up for service. But to check, it's kind of after the auditor's done their check is the reason why we chose April.
And we will watch that when somebody moves out. We'll make sure that the next person doesn't have it. You know, they have to certify themselves also.
And I think that's what happened in a lot of instances. It may have been mom and dad's house, and they have passed, and then the kids move in, and they may not have even realized that mom and dad were on the homestead. So I think so checking is good. I think it's very good. Law Director Deary?
Thank you. Through you, Madam Chair. So just for purposes of implementation, Ms. Connor, how much, I guess, lead time would your department need to, I guess, load, for instance, the fees into New World, as far as needing an emergency clause on this legislation, should it move forward? Or is there an anticipated start date?
Let me talk, because we'll have to change the printing on the bill, because it'll have two different dates and how much it'll be if it's delinquent. So I'll talk with the printer and find out.
Law Director, Safety Service Director Pinowski.
Thank you. Through you, I would ask that it not be an emergency clause, because we do have a couple of administrative things to figure out as it relates particularly to making the changes to the delinquency fees and how we're going to communicate that. We want to have it on the same utility bill, not a separate mailing, so that it's there and they can see, a resident could see everything that's on their account. So yeah, we're not in a hurry. We got to work a couple of those things out still.
All right, so through you, Madam Chair, what I was going to, so should the committee report be passed tonight? It would be, legislation could potentially be ready to go for the September 2nd meeting. If for whatever reason I get feedback that it should be held, then I'll hold it. Without the emergency clause, if it did go at the September 2nd meeting, then it would go into effect October 2nd. Does that sound good?
Through you, Madam Chair, I think that would be
Okay.
a sufficient amount of
Okay.
time for us to work
Okay.
those things out, and I
All right.
appreciate that time. Thank you.
Okay. Right.
Mr. Oswald?
Through you, Madam Chair. So I'm not an accounting guru, but if you're charging, you're impacting in that water bill, these extra credit card charges, and then you just even them out towards everybody's bill, does that mean no, just the person that makes those charge? You said that the credit card charge, if somebody pays by credit card, and there's a fee that they're paying a bill, is this?
Director Pianowski?
Thank you. Through you, the fees that would be associated with that are spread amongst all customers, but there are fees for all of our payment options that the city realizes, including deposit fees and other automated fees. So I mean, all that, it's looking at all the fees and then spreading them across as part of our rates. So it's built into our monthly rates.
Through your member here. So if I pay cash and a check, I'm helping paying everybody else's credit card charges.
Through you,
Correct.
Madam Chair, there is fees involved in checks at the bank and our courier and stuff that picks up the cash. There is fees associated with that, too.
Boy, good call. Thank you.
Ken, if you want a nickel, I'll give you one.
Are there any other questions, comments? Seeing none, I'll read the committee report. We have considered the matter of updating water rules and regulations of the Elyria Municipal Water Supply System, EMWSS, Elyria Codified Ordinance, Chapter 939, and relevant provisions of the fee ordinance, Chapter 109. And this is an ordinance authorizing the said updates to ECO Chapter 939 and Chapter 109. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Oswald, second by Mr. Armstrong. Any other
Question.
discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Connors. There is nothing else to come before this committee. Can I get a motion of adjournment, please?
So moved.
Moved and properly second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Good night, everyone. Thank you all for coming.
So I was wondering about, was it getting that